Yes. Well, you're kind of dark.
Let's see if I face this. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, I look a mess.
You're good. All right. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to do our last video conference for Unit 6. I'm Ashley, and that's Fatima. So we will start with the Horizon reports. We'll start with Standard 4 for students. I read the K through 12, as usual. This was about innovative designers. And so what struck me as I read the report this time is they talked about maker spaces again and how there are opportunities for hands-on learning and creation. It connects to the classroom lessons, to the real life outcomes. And in Singapore, I thought this was really cool. There are 25,000 primary students who've written 400,000 lines of code. They've experimented with robots and wearables and drones aboard a retrofitted bus that acts as a traveling lab for them. So I just felt like all of that really tied into what it means to be an innovative designer.
Yeah. Oh, totally. That's really cool. So I read the Chinese technology outlook for Chinese higher education. In terms of like the innovative designers and a student using like technology to, I guess, for their learning, in Chinese higher education, in the article that I read, talked about the use of augmented reality, which is where it's like creating an environment where students can learn in a virtual environment. And then they also mentioned like self-quantification technologies that kind of reminded me of the Fitbit. And the students like have these wearable devices that kind of measure their psychological level to indicate like levels of anxiety, and that kind of like helps like the school like be able to like identify students that are struggling early and like just have like measurable data.
Right.
And then what else was mentioned? Yeah, and then they talked about remote labs and some other technologies the students can use to for their learning and to become innovative designers.
That is a very cool Fitbit idea. I really like that. That would be great for adults.
Yeah, I know.
Our next standard was, it deals with coaches and administrators, and it's just a visionary leadership. So part of my article talked about robotics and robotic development and how it helps to promote critical and computational thinking. I feel as though this is an area where admin and coaches can see where technology is headed and begin to bring their staff into that. So instead of like hitting staff with like, this is what we're going to start this year, kind of like a slower rollout. Like, this is where we're thinking about heading in 2 to 3 years. And you can kind of begin preparing your staff by showing them how it's being class is right now. Like, there's this program called Robots for Autism, and then there's a robot called Milo, and he helps students with autism better understand emotion, and he or it, I guess it's a robot, demonstrates socially appropriate behavior. So I think where technology is going with our special ed population is fascinating.
Yeah.
But I think like you have to have that vision in mind as you're going forward.
Right. Oh, that's pretty cool. They're using robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for my article, which is Chinese higher education, the article discussed, sorry, I'm going to stop until the announcement is done. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start again. So for IST Standard 1 for coaches and administrators, my article discussed using augmented reality to overcome shortcomings or overcome pretty much the education system relies on a lot of theory learning. So they discussed talking about creating these concrete experiences through like experiential learning where children can be put into environments where they can learn through like real life experiences. And like I'd mentioned before, the quantified self technology helps to facilitate more seamless data so that can assist faculty and administrators to capture real world data for their field work and research. So
Very cool. And then our last standard for,
Ladies and gentlemen, this will be a game.
okay.
I muted myself, so you can go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so our last standard for this unit was standard 4 for administrators, systemic improvement. Here, I felt like my article really hit on this with online learning. So we see online learning has such great potential, and it has the potential to help students better understand and respond and apply that to real life environments. However, what research is showing is that we really have a lot of progress to make in this area. As far as there needs to be more scaffolding between teachers and students, and there need to be support structures. So I thought about that systemic improvement here, and I feel like that sometimes we get really excited about things, but we don't fully see them through before we try and implement them. So I felt like that was an area that we could learn from moving forward.
Right, and that's pretty good. So for standard 4,
What happens in real life?
I know, right? I think we're boarding soon, so
Okay.
there's so many announcements. Okay, all right. So for standard 4 and related to Chinese higher education, and in terms of, I guess, in particular, speaking to administrators, was just, I guess, in the next, was it 2 to 3 years? We were talking about, yeah, in the next 2 to 3 years, is to use these technologies to identify or students that are struggling, or to better create programs that can identify the needs of students in real time. So yeah, that was my main, I guess that was the main point for administrators in terms of like providing like leadership and management,
Which is
to
a
faculty.
huge need we have. I feel like getting data immediately.
Yes.
Nowadays.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us in this unit, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Anna.
All right. Thanks, Ashley.